When working from home, it's really easy to get caught in some ethical traps. In this video, I'm going to cover 4 simple tips to help you avoid those ethical traps when you or your staff are working remotely. It's easy to overlook some simple things that we do when we're working from home. And so this next 4 tips is to help you avoid some easy to avoid ethical traps. Tip number 1, hold off on the send button on your emails. Draft it, save it, and let it stew for a while, and then come back and decide whether or not you should hit the send button. I give this tip to all the attorneys that I work with because it's so easy to get emotionally caught up in a situation and just hit that email send. And almost immediately you regret sending the email. I know sometimes it feels good because you got it out of your system and you sent it, but remember this, that email could end up as an exhibit on somebody's motion one day. So you want to avoid that because these kinds of emails show up in malpractice cases because you said something that criticized the other attorney or even your client or your law firm practiced something. And so you want to just be really careful, especially these days when you're spending more time than ever on email. Remember, write, stew, then send. Tip number 2. Check confidentiality of your client documents and information. And don't forget that both you and your staff are responsible to assure that all your client's information remains confidential. This even includes their name. So look around and see who else can see the documents that you have at home sitting about. Remember, this is all for your eyes only, not your spouse, not your roommate, not your dog, not your kids. You just want to make sure when you're working from home that you don't leave documents around for anyone to see. And if you're going into a video conference room, look around. Make sure that everything has been put away before you go into a conference room. One of the things that I do before I go into a Zoom room is I go into my personal Zoom room and I look at what others can see so that I make sure that all the files are closed and put away before I enter a video conference room. Make sure that you don't have Alexa or Google nearby when you're on the telephone with your clients. You're not assured how secure those connections are. So be sure not to have confidential phone conversations with your clients when Alexa might be listening in. Tip number 3, eliminate the distractions that can actually end up in malpractice cases. It's easy to get distracted when you're working from home or remotely. Whether it's the television, the children, the dog, all kinds of things are going on. So you need to go out of your way to remove these distractions when you're working. If you're in a video conference room, don't multitask. You're going to miss something really important that could end up becoming a problem later. So just eliminate multitasking, eliminate distractions as best you can. And when you have focused, concentrated work to do, see if you can close that door and keep everybody out. Put a sign on the door that says, "Do not disturb." Tip number 4, be aware of your cybersecurity issues when you're working remotely or working from home. Your firewalls at home are not going to be at the level that they are at the office. And law firms, second only to the financial industry, are the #1 target for cyber thieves. So when you're working remotely and from home, the odds are your cybersecurity is not as good as it needs to be to assure confidentiality of all the information you're using. So either store everything in your case management software in the cloud that you're used to storing everything in, or store things offline so that they're not accessible from your desktop or your laptop computer. So that's 4 tips. Very common sense, but it's the kind of thing that you would forget if somebody didn't remind you. These 4 little things can assure that you avoid some of these obvious ethical traps when you're working from home or working remotely. If you like this video, hit the like button below and be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell down there at the bottom so that you get notified of future videos. And I'll see you back here on From Porch Lawyer.